Get ready to learn some incredible things about this world, because here are 50 amazing facts to blow your mind. The TV show All in the Family was the first primetime show to have a sound of a flushing toilet. For much of television's history, it was actually taboo to even show a bathroom, let alone have any sort of bathroom sound. This show helped change that. Author J.K. Rowling, who wrote the Harry Potter series, also writes crime novels under the name Robert Galbraith. Books that she's published under her fake name includes The Silkworm and Cuckoo's Calling. Look out for them at bookstores. WD-40 was invented by Norm Larson back in 1953. He was attempting to concoct a formula to prevent corrosion, a task that's done by displacing water. WD stands for water displacement, and the 40 is because he finally gained success on his 40th attempt. The band Nickelback got its name from Mike Kroger's cashier experience at a Starbucks. Customers would pay $1.50 for a coffee that always only cost $1.45, so he would always have to give them a nickel back. 1 in 2 million lobsters is blue, but 1 in every 3 million can be yellowy orange, and even rarer are white lobsters. Each of these colors only shows up about once every few years. It is possible to cry in outer space. However, your tears never fall, they just sort of sit there like a blob under your eye. In 2009, in the jungle of the Philippines, scientists discovered a new species of pitcher plant. It's the largest carnivorous plant ever discovered. It's called the Nepenthes attenbori, named after Sir David Attenborough. Other meat-eating plants eat things like insects and spiders, but this one's so big that it actually eats rats. McDonald's Hamburger University trains students in restaurant management skills and has over 275,000 graduates. But it's no joke. With a selection rate of 1% at its Shanghai campus, this intense week-long training program is more exclusive than Harvard. There's a disorder called congenital amusia, where people can't recognize common songs from their culture, can't tell when notes are out of tune, and sometimes say that music sounds like banging to them. In 2016, Florida Governor Rick Scott passed a bill making it legal to break into any locked vehicle in order to rescue a pet or vulnerable person that they believe to be in imminent danger of suffocation. And this was necessary because as much as 32 people every year in Miami die in hot car deaths. In ancient Greece, the apple was thrown at someone to symbolically declare one's love for them. This is because in Greek mythology, the Greek goddess Eris became disgruntled after she was excluded from a wedding, and in retaliation tossed a golden apple inscribed with "for the most beautiful one" into the wedding party. At that point, it was claimed by Aphrodite and thus became a symbol for love. According to the World Health Organization, an estimated 350 million people globally suffer from depression. It's also a leading cause of disability worldwide and is a major contributor to the overall global burden of disease. The planet Neptune has the strongest winds in our solar system, with winds up to 2,100 kilometers an hour. To put that into context for you, hurricane winds on Earth see speeds of up to only 119 kilometers an hour. That's 18 times faster. Koalas have human-like fingerprints. In fact, they're almost identical to human ones. Not even careful analysis under a microscope easily distinguish the loopy, whirly ridges on koalas' fingers from our own. Elephants have the longest known pregnancy of any animal, lasting up to 680 days. In addition to being born with an advanced level of brain development, they also have a unique cycle of ovulation and hormone levels that are unlike any other animal. Dr. Wuzong Zhu of St. Andrews University found that about 1.5 million diamond nanoparticles are created in a candle flame every second that it burns. Unfortunately, they're burned away during the process. However, it's believed that this discovery could lead to research into how diamonds could be created more cheaply. Because the main purpose of marriage to ancient people was to produce children, they used to shower the new bride with fertility symbols like wheat grain. The Romans used to bake this wheat into small cakes to be eaten in a tradition known as conferratio, meaning eating together. The guests of the ceremony used to throw handfuls of honey-eyed nuts and dried fruits called confetto. And this was how the tradition of throwing confetti at weddings started. The origin of the game hopscotch began in ancient Britain during the Roman Empire. The original courts were 30 meters long and were used for military training exercises. Soldiers actually used to run in full armor and field packs to improve their footwork. Roman children drew their own smaller courts and added a scoring system, and thus hopscotch was born and spread throughout Europe. Originally, the traffic and train light for go was white and caution was green. The choice of white light for go turned out to cause a lot of problems. For example, back in 1914, one of the red lenses fell out of its holder while leaving a white light behind it exposed. This ended up with a train running a stop signal and crashing into another train. So the railroad changed it so that the green light meant go and yellow was chosen for caution, mostly because it's the most distinct color from the other two. Up until 1564, the French celebrated New Year's between March 25th and April 1st. But when the new Gregorian calendar was introduced, the festival was moved to January 1st. Those who resisted the change became victims of pranks, including invitations to non-existent New Year's parties on April 1st. And this is why we celebrate April Fool's Day on April 1st. The candy-filled eggs Kinder Surprise made by Italian company Ferrero are actually illegal in the United States. The US Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act bans all candies embedded with non-nutritive objects. If you bring one into the United States, you could actually be fined up to $1,200 per egg. According to a study done in 2007 by Marshall McHugh, a researcher in the Department of Biological Sciences at the University of Arkansas, intense snake hunger can cause snakes to actually digest their own heart muscle. However, immediately following a nutritious meal, snake hearts can actually quickly rebuild themselves. Cornell University discovered that the tiger beetle runs so fast it can no longer see where it's going. It actually has to use its antenna to avoid obstacles. The American College of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology found that a bite from a lone star tick can cause you to develop an allergy to red meat, including beef and pork. If your nose ever gets stuffy and begins to run after eating meat, or you get nauseated or get a rash, you may have this allergy. And a tick, get checked. Humans shed their entire outer layer of skin every 2 to 4 weeks. We shed at a rate of about 500 million cells a day. This is the major contributor to house dust. New research published in the Journal of Meteorics and Planetary Science confirmed that the blade on the dagger found in Tutankhamun's tomb is made with materials from a meteorite. Scientists performed X-ray fluorescence spectrometry on it, which is a method used to learn more about elements of an object and what they're composed of. It was found to contain iron, nickel, and cobalt, all materials found in chunks of space rocks. After years of campaigning by conservationists, in May of 2016, President Obama signed a National Bison Legacy Act into law, making the North American bison the official mammal of the United States. It's the first official mammal recognized by the federal government. On May 15, 1809, Connecticut woman Mary Keyes was the first American woman to receive a patent. Her innovation was to make a hat by weaving silk or thread into straw, creating a pleasing appearance that became a fashion fad. A man named Luke Irwin inadvertently came across an amazing discovery buried under his newly purchased property in Wiltshire, England. While an electrician that he hired was drilling into the ground, he hit a layer of intricate red, white, and blue mosaic tile. It turned out that the Irwin residence was built on one of the largest and best preserved Roman villas ever found in Great Britain. There's such a thing as a museum dedicated to wax representations of disfiguring diseases. The Moulage Museum in Zurich, Switzerland is one of them. Civilizations as old as the ancient Egyptians used wax to record how people looked when they died. By the early 1700s, moulages were a well-known teaching method for medical students and doctors. A Silicon Valley-based company called Got It has developed an app by the same name. If you're a high school student and you get stuck on a question, you can submit it to the app and get tutors to bid for an answer. When the student accepts the bid, which only usually costs about $1, he or she gets a 10-minute long tutoring session over text. The common housefly doesn't have a mouth. Instead, it has an eating tube through which it vomits a drop of fluid from its stomach onto its meal. It then sucks up the fluid along with the nutrients that it dissolved, leaving behind a huge amount of germs. According to Universe Today, the distance between the surface and the center of the Earth is about 6,378 kilometers. In In March of 1974, local farmers in the Shaanxi province of China were drilling for water when they discovered an underground chamber that contained over 8,000 life-sized warrior figures that were made out of terracotta clay. They were from China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, who ordered the construction of the figures back in 246 BC in readiness for his own burial. And he was only 13 years old at the time. Singer Billy Joel has performed more concerts in Madison Square Garden than any other artist. John Ratzenberger, known for his role as Cliff Clavin in the hit TV sitcom Cheers, is the only actor to have voiced characters in every single Pixar movie. On May 8th, 2010, actress Betty White, who was 88 at the time, became the oldest person to host Saturday Night Live. The oldest village on Earth is Oymyakon in Russia. The average temperature there in January averages negative 51 degrees Celsius, and their all-time low is negative 71 degrees Celsius in February. In Crater Lake in Central Oregon, there is a floating tree trunk known as the Old Man of the Lake that has been bobbing completely vertically in the lake for well over 100 years. It's been referenced in writing as far back as 1896. The octopus, the squid, and the salmon all die soon after giving birth. For the most part, males die soon after fertilizing the female's eggs, and the females only live long enough to birth their young before dying. It's estimated that poachers kill about 30,000 elephants a year to keep up with the global demand for ivory, according to a 2010 report. But as of July 2016, the United States has adopted a near total ivory ban. In fact, more than a ton of ivory was crushed in New York City in 2015 as part of the US government's plan to crack down on the illegal trade. The Amazon rainforest is home to 427 mammals, 1,300 birds, 378 reptiles, and more than 400 amphibians. Google was originally named Backrub. In 2006, an analysis of cats' tongues showed that they do not have the taste receptors that react to sweet-tasting things. Every feline, from lions to tigers down to the domestic house cat, cannot taste anything sweet. There's a resort in Finland called Kakslaatinen Arctic Resort where your accommodations are a glass igloo. The recessed dip on the facial structure of your skull between your eyes and above the bridge of your nose is called the nasion. Cosmetic surgeons rely heavily on the type of nasion that a person has when planning a rhinoplasty, aka nose job. August 13th is officially Left-Handers Day. On April 14th, 1986, Bangladesh was hit by the biggest hailstones ever recorded, weighing in at over 1 kilogram each and killing 92 people. Before mating, the female giraffe will urinate in the male's mouth. From the taste of her urine, the male can determine if she's in heat or not. The original Twinkie filling was actually banana flavored. It wasn't until World War II that there was a banana shortage, so vanilla became the standard flavor. And now you're just a little bit smarter. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to subscribe to my channel because I upload every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. If you want to watch more right now, you can press or click either of the two video thumbnails that you see on your screen right now, and don't forget to check out my second vlog channel in the description below. Have a fantastic day, guys, and I will see you on Tuesday. Bye!